Welcome to 7 Days Report, your reliable source of information from all major news from around the world. I'm your host, Vasilios Nikolaos Vitsilogiannis. Every weekend at 12 and 21, we bring you the latest headlines, in-depth analysis, and insightful commentary on the stories that matter most. Whether you're tuning in for a recap of the week or looking for a deeper understanding of global events, we've got you covered. Let's start with our first news. Nearly half of Americans expressed doubt over the current President Trump administration's commitment to protecting citizens' rights and freedoms, according to a new poll released this week. The survey reveals growing public concerns about the administration's stance on civil liberties, particularly freedom of the press. The poll, conducted among a nationally representative sample of adults, found that roughly 50% of respondents believe the administration is not adequately defending fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution. A significant portion of this skepticism centers around the perceived restriction or undermining of freedom of the press, which many respondents see as a cornerstone of a democratic society. Public opinion is divided along partisan lines, with critics pointing to several policies and statements by the administration as evidence of an eroding commitment to protecting these freedoms. Supporters of the president, meanwhile, argue that measures taken are necessary for national security and public stability. Experts say the findings highlight a deepening polarization in how Americans view government roles in civil rights. Concerns over potential overreach, surveillance, and media censorship have fueled debate about the proper balance between security and liberty. This poll underscores the importance of transparent communication and trust building between government officials and the public to reassure citizens that their rights remain safeguarded. As the nation faces complex social and political challenges, the tension over civil liberties will likely remain a pivotal issue in public discourse. The Trump administration has yet to respond directly to the poll results, but sources close to the White House emphasize its commitment to preserving American freedoms within a framework of strong governance. The United Nations Secretary-General has issued a stark warning about the escalating conflict in Sudan, describing the war as spiraling out of control with devastating humanitarian consequences. Speaking on November 4, 2025, the Secretary-General emphasized the urgent need for immediate international action to prevent further loss of life and instability in the region. The conflict, primarily centered between Sudan's regular army and paramilitary forces, has intensified dramatically over recent weeks. Reports indicate widespread violence in key cities and rural areas, leading to the massive displacement of civilians. UN agencies estimate that more than 2 million people have been forced to flee their homes, with thousands killed or injured. The Secretary-General condemned all parties involved for their failure to protect civilians and called for an immediate ceasefire. He urged international actors to leverage diplomatic channels to bring the warring factions back to the negotiating table. The worsening security situation has also hampered humanitarian aid delivery, placing millions at risk of famine and disease. In his statement, the UN chief highlighted the broader regional implications of the conflict, cautioning that unchecked violence could destabilize neighboring countries in East Africa. He reiterated the UN's commitment to supporting peace efforts and providing emergency relief, but stressed that a political solution is the only lasting path to peace. The international community's response in the coming days will be crucial to preventing Sudan's war from escalating into a broader regional crisis. The Secretary-General concluded by appealing for unity and urgency in addressing this rapidly deteriorating crisis. New Yorkers have elected Zohran Mamdani as the new mayor of New York City, making history as the city's first Muslim, first South Asian, and youngest mayor in over a century. The 34-year-old's immigrant roots, socialist principles, and authentic connection with voters propelled him to victory against well-known opponents like Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa. Born in Kampala, Uganda, Mamdani moved to New York at the age of 7. He comes from an academic and artistic family, with his father being a Columbia University professor and his mother an award-winning filmmaker. Mamdani's background includes work as a foreclosure prevention housing counselor, aiding low-income homeowners, which inspired his political efforts. A self-described democratic socialist, Mamdani's platform emphasizes affordability for working-class families, including proposals for rent freezes, free public bus rides, free childcare for children under 5, city-owned grocery stores to combat food price inflation, and a $30 minimum wage by 2030. To finance these initiatives, he advocates for increased taxes on corporations and individuals earning over $1 million annually. His campaign energized a large voter turnout, demonstrating broad support for his progressive agenda. Despite his popularity among many New Yorkers, Mamdani faces criticism from figures such as President Donald Trump, who has labeled him a communist and threatened to cut federal funding under Mamdani's administration. Mamdani denies these accusations, maintaining a focus on transformative policies for the city. He is set to assume office on January 1, 2026, bringing a fresh, bold vision to the governance of America's largest city. A recent scathing report by the German newspaper TASS has rocked Greece's political landscape, alleging widespread scandals, nepotism, and corruption under the leadership of Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis since 2019. The detailed investigation accuses the government of multiple instances of cover-ups and favoritism, painting a grim picture of governance during Mitsotakis's tenure. According to TASS, the ruling administration has systematically engaged in unethical practices, including awarding contracts to political allies and shielding influential figures from scrutiny. The report highlights specific cases in which transparency was compromised and official channels were manipulated to hide uncomfortable truths from the public. Critics argue that nepotism has permeated senior government roles, undermining meritocracy and eroding public trust. TASS's report cites whistleblower testimonies and leaked documents as concrete evidence that these issues are not isolated incidents but part of a broader pattern. The allegations come at a sensitive time as political opposition parties seize the opportunity to demand stricter accountability measures and call for independent investigations. Mitsotakis's government has yet to issue an official response, but insiders suggest legal teams are reviewing the claims for potential counteraction. This exposé places serious pressure on Greek political institutions to reinforce transparency and ethical governance, while citizens await clarity on the extent of these claims. The unfolding scandal threatens to dominate political discourse in Greece moving forward, emphasizing the growing demand for integrity in public office. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa revealed that several South African nationals are trapped in the Donbass region amid the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. The individuals reportedly joined the fighting on the Russian side and have now found themselves stranded in one of the most dangerous battlegrounds. Speaking at a press briefing, Ramaphosa confirmed the government is aware of the situation and is actively seeking ways to ensure the safe return of those involved. He stressed that the South African government does not support its citizens' involvement in foreign conflicts, but is committed to protecting their rights and welfare. These individuals have made personal choices that are complex and difficult, and now they face serious risks in a war zone, Ramaphosa said. Our government is in touch with relevant authorities and international partners to facilitate their safe extraction. The Donbass region in eastern Ukraine has been a flashpoint since 2014, escalating dramatically since Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022. Foreign fighters, including mercenaries and volunteers, have been reported on both sides of the conflict, complicating diplomatic efforts. South Africa has maintained a stance advocating for peaceful resolution and respect for international law throughout the war. Ramaphosa reiterated the country's support for dialogue and humanitarian principles amid the crisis. The exact number of South Africans caught in the conflict zone remains unclear, and the government urges families and citizens to refrain from joining armed confrontations abroad. Efforts to bring the trapped nationals home are ongoing. An explosion at a mosque in Indonesia's capital, Jakarta, injured dozens of people, local police reported on Friday. The blast occurred during Friday prayers, a peak time when the mosque was crowded with worshippers. Jakarta Metropolitan Police confirmed that the explosion happened inside the mosque located in East Jakarta. Emergency services rushed to the scene immediately, providing medical assistance to those wounded. Preliminary reports indicated that at least 30 people suffered injuries ranging from minor to serious. Authorities have not yet released information about any fatalities. The police are currently investigating the cause of the explosion. Early indications suggest it may have been caused by an improvised explosive device, but officials continue to examine all possibilities, including accidental causes. A security perimeter has been established around the mosque, and a forensic team is conducting a detailed examination of the site. Local community leaders expressed shock and sadness over the incident, urging calm and cooperation with law enforcement agencies. The Indonesian government has condemned the attack, reiterating its commitment to maintaining public safety and religious harmony in the country. Islam is the majority religion in Indonesia, and mosques are central places for community gatherings. The blast has heightened concerns about security at places of worship nationwide. Authorities have called on the public to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activity. Further updates will be provided as the investigation progresses. This incident marks one of the most serious attacks at a religious site in Jakarta in recent years, raising fears about potential extremist violence in the region. That was your news for now. I'm your host Vasilios Nikolaos Vitsilogiannis. Stay with us for a complete coverage of the news around the world. Goodbye.